Somewhere in Northern Virginia, there is a building with no windows, almost nobody inside, and a power bill bigger than a small city's. One building like this can pull more power than tens of thousands of homes, and right now companies are racing to build hundreds more. Where does all that power come from? Because the grid we've got, it wasn't built for this. For 20 years, electricity demand in the US and Europe was basically flat. Then one industry snapped the trend. Training and running large AI models takes an almost absurd amount of computation. And computation is just electricity wearing a different costume. In this video, 3 things. How much power these places actually eat, why it's AI specifically, and the bottleneck quietly deciding who wins the AI race. Here's what surprised me. It's not the chips, it's electrons. These numbers don't feel real until you tie them to something human. One of NVIDIA's top AI chips pulls about a kilowatt when it's working hard. The newest ones pull more. On its own, that's nothing. Your hairdryer pulls more, but you never run one. A modern AI server stacks 8 of these chips. A rack holds several servers. And a modern AI data center? Thousands of racks. Stack it all up and you get a facility that needs hundreds of megawatts, continuously, day and night, no break. Hundreds of megawatts. That's the steady appetite of a mid-sized town. But here's the twist that makes it harder than a town. A town breathes. People sleep, lights go off, factories shut at night. Demand rises and falls. A data center doesn't breathe. It runs flat out every hour of every day. And, counterintuitive part, a constant heavy load is harder to supply than a bigger load that goes up and down. A grid likes peaks and troughs. A data center gives it no troughs, just a wall of demand that never blinks. Hold on to that, it comes back. Why AI? The internet has run on data centers for decades. Email, Netflix, the whole cloud. What actually changed? One word: intensity. A traditional server spends most of its life waiting. It serves a web page, handles a request, then sits idle, sipping power, waiting for the next click. Most of the time, it's barely working. AI training is the opposite. When you train a model like GPT-4 or Gemini, the work isn't one calculation. It's billions of matrix multiplications running across thousands of chips, all at the same time, all synchronized. Every chip has to finish its piece before the next step can start. So if one chip slows down, all the others wait. The result? Every chip stays pinned at maximum power for weeks at a stretch. It's the difference between a car crawling through city traffic, stop, start, idle, and a car flooring it on a racetrack for a month, never lifting off the pedal. Same engine, completely different fuel bill. But here's the problem most people miss. All that power doesn't just turn into math, it turns into heat. Nearly every watt a chip pulls comes back out as heat, and that heat has to go somewhere, or the chip cooks itself. Historically, data centers spent a huge chunk of power just fighting that heat. The old ones from the 2000s were brutal. For every watt of computing, you could spend nearly another watt on cooling. The best modern facilities have crushed that overhead. The hyperscale leaders now run almost all their power straight into compute. But here's the catch, and it's the whole reason for the next video. AI packs so much power into so little space that the heat problem didn't disappear, it moved. These chips run so hot, so densely, that plain air physically can't carry the heat away fast enough anymore, which is why the entire industry is now switching to something that sounds insane. They're cooling computers with liquid. We'll get into exactly how that works next time. For now, just hold this. The heat didn't shrink, it got concentrated. Microsoft did something nobody expected. They signed a deal to restart 3 Mile Island. Yes, that 3 Mile Island, site of the worst nuclear accident in American history. They're bringing a reactor that's been dead since 2019 back to life on a 20-year deal just to feed data centers. Why would anyone do that? Because building chips is hard. But it's the kind of hard that money solves. Want more chips? Fund more factories. Slow and expensive, but a known path. Power is a different animal. You cannot conjure a power plant in a quarter. You cannot string new high-voltage transmission lines in a few months. The permitting alone takes years. And in several US regions, getting a big new facility connected to the existing grid has been a multi-year wait. PJM, the largest grid operator in America, got so buried in applications it closed its standard queue back in 2022 and only reopened it in 2026. Now hold that against the speed of this industry. A generation of AI models lasts barely a year. The technology is sprinting, the infrastructure that feeds it is walking. That gap, that's the bottleneck, not chips. The chips are getting made. The thing quietly deciding who wins this race is access to power. And everything bundled with it, land, water, and a grid connection somebody will actually approve. And the 3 Mile Island story shows it perfectly. Even with a finished reactor, getting that power onto the grid still depends on PJM's queue and the transmission upgrades around the site. The plant is racing to be ready by 2027. Whether the wires around it are ready in time is a separate question. The plant could be ready early. The grid is the thing that can still make it wait. That's the whole story in one example. It's not the reactor, it's not the chips, it's the wires, the queue, the electrons. That's why AI companies are doing things that look bizarre, signing deals for whole power plants, reviving dead nuclear sites, building next to hydroelectric dams, putting data centers in the frozen north where the cold air cools them for free. They're not chasing chips anymore, they're chasing electrons. So let's pull it together. One AI data center can eat power like a small city. It runs flat out, forever, with no night. The heat it throws off is so concentrated that the whole industry is switching to liquid just to keep it alive. Now multiply that by the hundreds being built right now. What you get is an industry slamming at full speed into a power grid that took a century to build and can't be rebuilt on AI's timeline. We're feeding a sprinter through plumbing laid down over 100 years. So the real race was never about chips. The companies that solve power first, not silicon, power, are the ones who'll actually scale. Everyone else is standing in line, waiting for electrons. Every watt becomes heat you have to rip back out of the building. How they actually do that at this scale, with chips that would otherwise melt, is the next video. It's right here.